Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of the Andover families around the world. It is my great pleasure to welcome everyone to this wonderful virtual concert. I am Ellen Sullivan, the Director of International Advancement at Andover, and one of the great joys of my role is to have the chance to meet Andover alumni and families all around the world. One of those, whom I met in December 2018 in Munich, was Ulrich Murtfeld, a member of the Andover class of 1987 and a hugely talented concert pianist, often cited as one of the most talented of his generation. Ulrich and I spoke together about his Andover experience, his exposure to some of the great American composers while studying at PA, and the powerful impact that his Andover experience has had on his life and professional work. I am delighted to welcome Ulrich today and to note that we have about 50 people who signed up for this event, including those from across the US, from Scarborough, Maine to Piedmont, California, from Boston, Massachusetts to Austin, Texas, as well as in France, Italy, Germany, and I believe a couple in Dubai. So we're delighted to bring you this first virtual concert, and I am privileged to introduce my friend Ulrich Murtfeld.
Thank you, Ellen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. First time I'm doing something like this. And great to say hello from Frankfurt at the moment in Germany. And we will have time to talk a bit later. Let me now say what I'm going to play. I will start with the Waldstein Sonata of Beethoven in 3 movements. Allegro con brio, the first movement. Then second movement, Introduzione, Adagio molto. And third movement, Rondo allegretto moderato. So, wonderful. So thank you for listening. It's a bit strange not to see anybody and to have the applause. After Beethoven, I chose to play for you piano music of the American composer Edward MacDowell. I have devoted 2 CD recordings to American composers of classical music. And Edward MacDowell is the most important composer of the late 19th century, coming from the USA. He spent many years in Germany, in fact, even in Frankfurt, where I am now, and where I grew up. And I will play for you 2 pieces, which are very late works. It has to be said that he died at a quite early age of 48. Anyway, these piano pieces were written not long before his death. And they are the last 2 pieces of the New England Idols. MacDowell liked to write small pieces of music, very inspired by a certain impression or feeling. And as he was very talented in the other arts as well, he was a very capable painter. And there are beautiful drawings that he made. And he wrote poems. So there are 2 poems, one each for 1 piano piece. And thanks to Ellen, she was so kind, she will read the poem, and I will afterwards play the piano piece. Thank you.
So the first one is called From a Log Cabin. A house of dreams untold. It looks out over the whispering treetops and faces the setting sun. And the second poem, The Joy of Autumn. From hilltop to vale, through meadow and dale, young autumn doth wake the world, and naught shall avail, but our souls shall sail with the flag of life unfurled. Well, Ulrich, if I could convey to you what is appearing in our chat, it is bravo, bravo, applause. We are so
Thank you.
enjoying. I wish you could hear the cacophony of voices. And
Oh,
my colleague Crystal is unmuting everybody, but it has to be a one by one. So while she's in the process of doing that, first I want to say on behalf of everyone who's benefiting from this performance and all those who will listen later, thank you for bringing this gorgeous music into our homes and into our lives. And I think everyone would agree it is so rare for us to have a chance to be so close to a professional musician. For those of us who go to the symphony and various performances, we never have a chance to be so close and to see every movement, every feature, and it is really a great joy. So thank you so very much, really, from all of us. And I see that everyone is coming alive and waving from their different ports of call. As they're coming on, there's a friend from the class of '83 in Milan, Amy Kellogg. There she is. Amy's a professional journalist, so I thought I'd toss it out to Amy to see if she might offer the first question. And I think Amy is Amy unmuted, Crystal?
Yes.
So Amy can start. And then anyone else who has a comment or question, you are most welcome.
Ulrich, that was just so beautiful. I don't even have words. And like Ellen said, it was really a surprise, rare treat to feel so close to you. I feel badly that you felt so far from us because you couldn't see us, but we were all hanging on the edge of our seats, and it was really beautiful, and the sound was phenomenal. I know you all worked on that today. So bravo. I wanted to ask you about this period of time with lockdown and pandemic, and what it's been like for you to be cut off from your fellow musicians and your performances, and whether in fact you've had time to reflect on the way this may impact your profession in the long term, or whether, you know, at the same time, maybe it's just given you some fresh thoughts, the time to think about where you might grow and go professionally. Thank you.
Well, well, this all came so sudden, and of course it was a big shock also for myself. And I would say that there are, however, indeed both sides. For me, I had at first, of course, I was a little bit worried about this virus and how bad it would turn out, or how I would be infected, or people around me. And but then I have to say that with the lockdown, I also found a lot of time to practice, in fact, because and that's what I did. I spent a lot of time on the piano, and I even made 2 video recordings in this time with Liszt pieces. And but of course, I think the classical music is one of the segments of society which is really terribly hit. And I don't know about the US, but in Germany, there's a lot of talking about economy, of course, and of course about the health of the people, which is no doubt first place. But somehow the culture always seems at the very end, when it comes to opening up, and people will have will go on vacations again now in Germany. I mean, we are a bit further ahead of you, I think. And of course, nobody knowing how it will at the end turn out again, but it seems that the cultural events are quite talked about at very late. And for myself, I find this worrying, certainly, because it reduces the possibilities that you have. But I mean, I try to stay optimistic, and I think it's a phase, and we will all go through it, but it will not last forever. And in fact, I just try to stay optimistic. And as I said, having to stay at home for a musician means having a lot of time to work on an instrument. But of course, you want to meet your colleagues, and you want to play in before an audience. And so it's a mix of feelings, I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have some other questions or comments? I think the Henning family was very enthusiastic. They had a few comments in the chat, and I'm not sure of your name. I just see it says Henning. Would you like to make any comments?
Hi everybody. So this is actually this is our family. This is Silke, my wife, Justus, our 6-year-old, who is enjoying the show, but he meanwhile stepped out for a few minutes. Sorry, Ulrich. Yeah. And it's so great to see you here. And first of all, we want to toast to you here to a great performance. Thank you. And I have to say, you're absolutely right. We have not been to any concert since month, which is horrible. And this is something that's not currently discussed. And I really hope we will come to one of your concerts soon, or jointly go to a concert. So thank you again. This is really, really beautiful, and a great a great end to the day. Thank you. Vielen Dank.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Henning. Nice words.
Yeah, bis bald.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kathleen, did you want to make a comment?
Well, as speaking as your former history teacher,
Oh.
how are you?
I'm fine. Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can. And
okay, okay. Well, I was so flattered that you joined the list, and
no,
really,
you gave me
yeah.
the last time I saw you at a reunion. You
Yeah.
gave me your American special, and I play it often. And I have to say, I've kept in touch with my international students more than many of my other students, and it's a great joy for me to see what you all are doing with your time. So I appreciate you keeping in touch with me over all these many years, and you are a wonderful musician. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Thank you, Kathleen. Your comment is actually a nice prompt. And Ulrich, in the few minutes we have left, maybe you want to reflect a little bit on your Andover experience. I remember you told me it was just a year, but it was a profoundly important and influential year for you personally and musically. It exposed you to some of the great American compositions. And you also mentioned an Andover alum from the class of 1954. Who himself is a noted American composer whose work has been performed at Andover. So maybe a reflection or two.
Well, thank you for the questions. The two questions. I will first just tell again how wonderful this year in the US was for me. I was 16 and of course, coming to Andover was very intense. I mean, I was growing up and very open and meeting so many people of my age, Americans, but also international students was something that really changed me and gave me a chance to come a little bit out of the regular steps that I had in Germany. And I just have to say that it still stays with me inside. And I just feel a lot of friendship for the US. I mean, I just want to be very honest. And so I think I just carry with me a great gift. And I mean, I'm still in touch a lot with the US. My brother lives in New York now. He's married to an American woman, and they're waiting for the second child. So, and I keep, I'm in touch with many people in the US. So I also hope to come back soon. And your question about the composer is true. I have to say that this was something that I discovered much later when I recorded the CDs. I was looking for interesting pieces, piano pieces of American composers, and there is a really very unique composer in the US, Frederick Rzewski. It's a Polish name, but he's an American, and I later found out that he also went to Andover, and later I think he started in Stanford, and he then made a very own way, and his piano pieces are just incredible. And in certain circles, he's also very known, like to be a genius of his kind. It's very experimental. He's a great improviser on the piano, and I think he also had a lot of impact on composers and the music scene. And so this was really a big thing for me. And I have to say that it's a great piece on my CD as well, Frederick Rzewski. And talking with Alan, we talked about him because we found out that there is this connection and that it's interesting to keep in touch. And yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Any final comments before we wrap up and have a big round of applause?
Could I
Ulrich,
just,
it's Gunter Meyer, and I
Oh,
just want to butt in with one quick comment.
yeah.
I distinctly recall in 1986 or 87, I was wandering
Mm,
through the basement of Graves Hall, and I
yes.
heard piano music coming out, and
Yeah.
you were practicing the Waldstein song.
And I know that you know that. And Günther, I
And I
told
wandered
Alan,
in, and
yeah,
we had
yeah,
a chat. It sounded wonderful then. It sounded
yes,
wonderful today, and
thank
thank
you.
you for sharing that with us.
Well, that's so nice of you, Günther. And it's true that I started this piano sonata in Andover at age 16, first time. And Günther was a great violinist. And I remember us performing the Vivaldi Four Seasons, you playing one of the solo parts. And I was sitting, at that time I also played the violin and I played in the orchestra. And so great to see you here, Günther. Yeah.
Thank you, Uli.
Yes.
I think we had a couple raised hands. Was it? Yes, Deborah.
Yes, hi. Ulrich, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful, moving playing. I want to give you some words of encouragement that I say to all my musician friends. I don't know when we will be back in a concert hall again in a large group of people indoors. I think it's a long ways off. But I think there's a lot to be said for these kinds of concerts, especially for their impact on young people. I know I don't have grandchildren and my children are grown up, but I know that my friends with grandchildren, a lot of them are tuning into these concerts online, and you're able to get a vantage point, just as we saw your fabulous hands, you know, moving up and down the keyboard, you know, whether it's organ pedals or close-ups of people's hands on other instruments. I think it's very, very you know, it's making music one step more real, making performance one step more real for generations of people that otherwise might never have this kind of exposure. So it's, you know, it's a new world and we don't know when we're getting back to what we know, but there's so much good in the kinds of performances that you're offering right now. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
Amy, did you have something?
I had one more, if I may. Ulrich, I know you've played in all sorts of wonderful venues, but I'm wondering if there are a couple that you could highlight that were maybe the most unusual, or if there were circumstances that were special or that stick with you for some particular reason that you might feel comfortable talking about.
You mean me playing or? Yeah. Well, I have to. I mean, spontaneously, it's. Let me think. I mean, I think there is not one single. I have had wonderful trips to Brazil. I have to say that these were one of the nicest experiences I had, playing concerts and in different towns, and so this is something that was just great. And but equally, I have to say that each concert is always a new experience. And so, I mean, I have to say that maybe it's a little bit spread on many events. Let me say like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ulrich. I think we're coming up on time, but actually allow me to make an announcement. Since I see Amy there, it reminds me that she has kindly agreed to participate in a virtual discussion on being a foreign correspondent next Tuesday, June 16th. Amy, is it 2 p.m. Eastern time?
I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern
Might be 1 p.m.
time.
Eastern time. So Crystal and her team have sent that around, and we can send that around to anyone who's interested. It's really
1
nice.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Thank you. It's really nice to have a community of people who come back to things, and we wanted to sort of feed your soul and your mind a little bit during these troubling days. So please feel free to tune in and hear Amy reflect on what it's been like for her to be a foreign correspondent. I think we're coming up on the hour, and so I would like to see if we can unmute everyone.
Ellen,
yes,
I'm
Crystal?
sorry to interrupt. I do see someone has their hand raised. Alan, did you want to ask a question? Maybe not. All right, I'm sorry to
Mr. Wozniak. Unmuting Mr. Wozniak. He's getting there.
Yeah.
Good for
Okay.
you.
Also, guten Abend.
Hello, and Alain, Felicia. Yeah.
Also, people don't know me. Also Ulrich. Also, I'm French and Felicia is American. And we are both friends, and we are playing together with Ulrich.
Right. Yeah.
Soon, yeah, on Sunday. Yeah, it was a great pleasure to see you and to hear you. As it was, the sound was a bit curious at the beginning, and after it was flanging a bit, and after a while it went better. It was really nice to hear your interpretation.
Great, great.
Already your piano playing, you're wonderful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Alain.
I'm really happy that we could do it to join you for this
great
event.
Great.
And it looks like Jim has a comment as well. Jim in Hawaii, perhaps, with a lovely background.
So I just wanted to, so Uli and I were
Jim.
for his first two trimesters at Andover before. I believe then you went to the DC intern program, right, for your third semester?
No, I went back to Germany.
Went back to Germany. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't always get along great, but
yeah,
we both come a long way from
definitely. Yeah, we did. Well, it's great to see you. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, so thanks for doing this.
Really,
I mean, it's great seeing people making able to make a career in music. I did it for a small time, but now I'm in my basement running a software development team now. So no longer.
Well, I remember you being in the school band, making music, right?
Yeah. Well, I had one of my own bands. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and great to see you here.
Good seeing you.
Yes.
Okay, Crystal, are we able to unmute everyone so they can send their...
If we could ask everyone to unmute themselves for just a moment, that would be wonderful. Ulrich, we just want to thank you so much, but we'd love to give you a round of applause because you put so much work into this. So thank you so much.
Oh. Thank you.
And Ulrich, we will all hold in our hearts the idea that one day before too long, we will have you at Andover performing.
Great. Will be a pleasure for me.
Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Yes. And Ulrich, we wish you all the best in your future concerts. You have one coming up on Sunday. So sending you warmest best for that.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for participating. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.